Hey, Assalamu alaikum. The correction of the mitochondria is too much important for the prevention of the cancer. The oncogene activation is due to the mitochondria dysfunction. So remember, your mitochondria is very important powerhouse of the cell, which that thousands of cells or thousands of mitochondria present in the single cell play important role for the production of ATP. That ATP is very important, but remember about that thing is the anaerobic respiration or ancient fermentation will trigger the cancer. How it is possible? Let's understand about that. Basically, whenever you will spike the insulin due to the eating of the refined sugar, carbohydrate, complex carbohydrate, every type of the sugar, which that it can be a hidden sugar, which that spike the insulin. When spike the insulin, in this way the all glucose will enter into the tissue. When going to the tissue, it will basically glycolysis will increase more and more to produce more ATP. While the glycolysis lead to further, but in this way the cancer, basically the cancer not get the oxygen because the mitochondrial electron transport chain will be damaged. The damage of the electron transport chain we can correct by certain things we will discuss in the end of the video. Please watch the whole video. So let's understand about that. Basically, the mitochondria require the health to oxidative phosphorylation, meaning of that the using of the oxygen to produce more ATP through aerobically, while anaerobic will lead to progress the oncogene activation. How it is possible? Let's understand about that. Basically, the hypoxic condition occur due to the mitochondria will not consume the oxygen, so oxygen will reject. And in this way, the rejection of the oxygen, basically the glycolysis will work more to produce more ATP. And that glycolysis also trigger to synthesis of the certain type of protein, which that is important to again run the glycolysis. But on the other hand, the glutamine and the other protein function without using of the oxygen in the Krebs cycle to produce more ATP. And in this way, basically the electron transport chain will not work. And when electron transport chain will not work due to the oxidative phosphorylation dysfunction, due to the hypoxic condition will occur because the oxygen is not using more. So the oxygen not prefer, while the anaerobic respiration to produce more ATP. That ATP is basically very dangerous because the aerobically not producing, and in this way the anaerobically it will produce. The anaerobic respiration will lead to cause cancer, the oncogene activation due to the less function of the mitochondria. So how to correct the mitochondria? That is our topic. So for prevention of the oncogene activation, because the oncogene activation due to the anaerobic respiration or the ancient fermentation due to the dysfunction of the mitochondria. So you should correct the mitochondria for prevention of the anaerobic respiration. And in this way, you should first of all buffer the insulin through a ketogenic diet whenever, and the caloric restriction diet. With the ketogenic diet, the high fat but the zero carb and basically the minor amount of the protein. And in this way, the beta oxidation will run, which that is required the oxidative phosphorylation. Remember about that thing. And in this way, it will beta oxidation will work for the using of the oxygen, but the fasting and the ketogenic diet as well as exercise will trigger the more PGC1 alpha. This PGC1 alpha will progress and it will repair the mitochondria. And on the other hand, the fasting, ketogenic diet and exercise trigger the AMPK pathway while inhibit the mTOR pathway in the cell. So remember about that. mTOR means the mammalian target of rapamycin. So the AMPK pathway is basically due to the less amount of the glucose, the less amount of the nutrient. Basically, it will lead to damage mitochondria to correct, or basically the PGC1 alpha also trigger due to the starvation condition, and the PGC1 alpha will correct it, and the higher amount of the ATP due to the hypoxic condition lead to increase the HIF1 alpha. So the HIF1 alpha will inhibit the PGC1 alpha, but fasting will trigger the PGC1 alpha, will inhibit the HIF1 alpha, hypoxic inducible factor 1 alpha it is known as. So it will inhibit, will lead to not progress and not proliferation, not angiogenesis will occur more, but anyhow the growth factors will not increase, the increase and proliferation of the cancer cell will not work. But anyhow, the mitochondrial dysfunction correction due to the PGC1 alpha, due to the transcription factor A mitochondria enhancement via a fasting, the ketogenic diet, and the exercise and good sleep, basically will trigger the more and more production of the good healthy mitochondria and increase the number of mitochondria. That will lead to oxidative phosphorylation. So the oxygen will consumed by the good and correction of the mitochondria, which that is important. And these four things, basically the fasting, ketogenic diet, exercise and good sleep, as well as caloric restriction, will inhibit these oncogenes basically activation, and the healthy mitochondria promotion, the promotion of the healthy mitochondria will begin. And in this way you can consume the all carbohydrate by the using of the oxygen through oxidative phosphorylation in the electron transport chain. And in this way you can also add the supplementation like coenzyme Q10, and on the other hand the magnesium, the potassium, the calcium and the iron, which that provide the all oxygen in the form of myoglobin for your muscle. And the exercise will increase the growth hormone, and exercise will deprivation of the ATP will trigger the oxidative phosphorylation, and in this way the electron transport chain will work due to the correction of the mitochondria. So basically the running and give the hypoxic shock. On the other hand, the ketogenic diet, the fasting, the caloric restriction and the good sleep basically will reverse the mitochondria. But remember about that things, the mitochondria require all these things due to the correction itself. If you will not do that and eat more and more carbohydrate, so in this the glucose will break down to produce a pyruvate, but pyruvate will not work for the electron transport chain, not produce the acetyl-CoA because the electron transport chain will damage. In this the anaerobic respiration will the glycolysis to produce more and more ATP, and this basically will lead to damaged cell proliferate rather than the fasting will inhibit it. So the fasting is important to inhibit, while the restriction of the glucose will inhibit it. So I hope you make sense about that. For simple to understand is that the starvation mode of the cell will repair the mitochondria, while the energy rich condition will not repair the mitochondria, and the damaged mitochondria will continue to produce the ATP without using of the oxygen, without using of the electron transport chain. So the glutamine metabolism, the protein and the glucose will produce, while the produce the ATP without using of the oxygen. So the cancer cell contain hypoxic condition because cancer cell no need to consume the oxygen, because the anaerobic fermentation will progress to produce more ATP, and the anaerobic the hypoxic condition of the cell will trigger the HIF1 alpha. This HIF1 alpha will produce more and more growth factors like endothelial growth factor. This endothelial growth factor will recruit the blood vessel and angiogenesis to basically more and more metastatic stage of the cancer. In this way the cancer cell will enter into the blood vessel to reside in the every type of the tissue to grow itself due to the hypoxic condition, because the hypoxic condition will trigger more and more faster and uncontrolled cell division, even the improper cell division. So please do the four things which that is important, like the ketogenic diet, fasting, exercise and the sleep. But the ketogenic diet with the caloric restriction, you should give the shock with the energy deprivation will lead to correct the mitochondria. When you will correct the mitochondria, ultimately your energy production process basically will work efficiently, and in this way you can get the health benefit, even reverse the cancer cell. So next video we will understand a lot more things. So for this time, bye. See you in the next video. For this time, bye. Allah Hafiz.